I've learned something early in life: battles don't wait for you to be ready. They come at you hard, relentless, and sometimes unfair. But I refuse to be a spectator in my own life. I face them, I fight them, and I win them. Every setback, every obstacle, every voice telling me I can't, those are just invitations to rise higher. I understand now that winning isn't about luck. It's about mindset, discipline, and refusing to quit when the world expects you to. This is my guide, my promise to myself, and my declaration: I will win every battle I face. I control my mind. That's the first thing I had to learn if I wanted to win any battle. Because battles don't start on the battlefield, they start in here, in the mind. You see, the mind is where victories are born or lost. And I had to understand that if I let my mind be dominated by fear, doubt, or the voices of others, I was already defeated before I even lifted a finger. I had to take ownership. I had to stand in front of the mirror and say, I decide who I am. I decide what I can do. Nobody else gets a vote. It wasn't easy. My mind was a battlefield long before the world ever threw a punch. I had days where I questioned myself. I had nights where I felt small, weak, powerless. But I realized something. I can't control the world. I can't control what people think. I can't control the opportunities that come or go. But I can control what I think, what I believe, and what I allow myself to accept. And controlling my mind meant taking every negative thought, every fear, every limiting belief, and turning it into fuel. I started to watch my thoughts like a hawk. I became hyper-aware of the words I spoke to myself. When doubt crept in, I didn't let it stay. When fear whispered that I wasn't enough, I shouted back that I was more than enough. I replaced self-pity with self-power. I replaced I can't with watch me. I learned that my mind is the gatekeeper of my destiny, and if I surrendered it to weakness, I surrendered my life. Controlling my mind also meant I had to silence the noise around me. I stopped listening to the naysayers. I stopped caring about the critics. I stopped giving energy to the people who didn't believe in me, because I realized that other people's doubts are not my reality. Other people's fear is not my fear. Other people's limitations are not my limitations. The only voice that mattered was mine. And I had to train that voice to be strong, to be confident, to be relentless. I developed a ritual. Every morning, I would sit in silence and declare my intentions for the day. I would remind myself who I was, what I stood for, and what I refused to accept. I would visualize the battles ahead and see myself victorious, not because it was guaranteed, but because I had decided it in my mind. I practiced gratitude and affirmation. I acknowledged the challenges, but I focused on my strength. Controlling my mind wasn't about pretending life was easy. It was about refusing to let difficulty define me. I also learned that controlling my mind meant controlling my emotions. Because emotions can be like wildfire. They can burn everything if you don't manage them. Anger, frustration, fear, jealousy. They all show up in battles. I had to acknowledge them, but I couldn't let them drive me. I had to be the calm in the storm, the steady hand on the wheel when everything around me was chaos. When I mastered my emotions, I mastered my reactions. When I mastered my reactions, I mastered the outcome. The truth is, winning starts with believing that you can. And believing comes from controlling the narrative in your head. I refuse to let fear tell me I'm not ready. I refuse to let doubt convince me I'm too small. I refuse to let failure define my identity. Every great victory I've ever had started with a decision inside my mind: I am capable, I am worthy, I will win. And that decision became unshakable because I practiced it every single day. I also had to confront the inner demons of procrastination and laziness. I had to tell myself, your mind is not a playground, it is a weapon. Use it or lose it. I learned that the battles I fought internally, the battles against distraction, against temptation, against giving up, were the hardest. But they were the ones that prepared me for the battles in life. Controlling my mind meant being disciplined when no one was watching. It meant showing up even when I didn't feel like it. It meant committing to excellence even when the world didn't applaud me. And here's the part most people miss: controlling your mind is not a one-time victory. It's constant. It's daily. It's every thought, every decision, every word you speak to yourself. It's the relentless practice of saying no to negativity and yes to possibility. Some days it's easier. Some days it's brutal. But I learned that consistency builds strength. I learned that I am the master of my mind, or I am a slave to circumstance. I control my mind, and because of that, I control my life. I've faced people, challenges, and situations that could have broken me, but they didn't. Not because I was the strongest, not because I was the fastest, but because I had already won inside my head. I had already claimed victory in silence. I had already decided that no matter what happened outside, I would not be defeated inside. That decision is what allowed me to rise every time, fight every battle, and stand tall when the world wanted me to kneel. And that's what I want you to understand. The first battle you must win is not against anyone else. It's against yourself, against your own doubts, your own fears, your own weak thinking. Because once you control your mind, there is no limit to what you can conquer. Controlling my mind is my superpower. It is the foundation of every success, every breakthrough, every triumph I've ever achieved. I don't let chaos decide for me. I decide. I don't let fear dictate my steps. I step. I don't let failure define me. I define myself. Winning every battle starts here in the mind. And I've learned that if I can control this battlefield, I can control every battlefield. That's why I control my mind, and I will never stop. I embrace the struggle. I've learned that life doesn't hand you victories on a silver platter. It doesn't roll out the red carpet or send a parade when you're about to succeed. No, life tests you, pushes you, and often knocks you down before it lifts you up. And I've realized something critical: if I fight against the struggle, I lose. If I resent it, if I curse it, if I run from it, I'm giving away my power. But if I embrace it, if I welcome it, if I see it as the teacher it is, then the struggle becomes my ally. And I've made the choice. I embrace it every single time. Struggle is not my enemy. I've been in rooms where doors were closed on my face, in neighborhoods where opportunities were scarce, in situations where the odds were stacked against me. I've been told I wasn't enough, that I wouldn't make it, that I was dreaming too big. And every time I had a choice of, do I sit in anger and complain, or do I use this struggle to forge myself into something stronger? I chose the latter, because I realized the struggle isn't punishment, it's preparation. I embrace the struggle because I know that growth doesn't come from comfort. Comfort is a trap. Comfort lulls you into mediocrity. I've felt it before, that easy life where nothing challenges you, where every day is predictable. But predictability kills potential. Struggle stretches me, struggle molds me. Struggle teaches me lessons I couldn't learn sitting in a chair, wishing for better. Every battle, every challenge, every setback carries a hidden lesson, and I refuse to turn my back on it. There were moments when the struggle felt unbearable. Nights when I couldn't sleep, wondering if I'd ever get a break. Days when every step forward felt like 2 steps back. Moments when the weight of life seemed too heavy to carry. But I learned that the struggle is temporary, quitting is permanent, and embracing the struggle doesn't mean I enjoy the pain. It means I refuse to let it break me. It means I step into the fire knowing that when I come out on the other side, I'll be stronger, smarter, and more capable than I ever imagined. I embrace the struggle because it reveals who I really am. When life is easy, anyone can smile and nod. But when life pushes, when it challenges, when it tests the limits of my endurance, that's when character is revealed. I've been humbled by failure, embarrassed by mistakes, and frustrated by situations that seemed impossible. But each time I chose to face it head on. I didn't run, I didn't hide, I didn't make excuses. I embraced it. And in that embrace, I discovered courage I didn't know I had. I discovered resilience I didn't know existed. I discovered a fire inside me that no obstacle could extinguish. I've also realized that embracing the struggle is about perspective. It's easy to look at pain, at difficulty, at hardship, and see only the negative. But I've trained myself to see the other side of the coin. Every struggle is a teacher, every obstacle is a signpost, every challenge is an opportunity. I remind myself daily that the struggle is not a wall to stop me, it's a ladder to climb. I may stumble, I may fall, but I keep climbing because the view from the top is worth every bruise, every tear, every sleepless night. Embracing the struggle has taught me patience. Life doesn't move at the pace I want it to. People don't change overnight, opportunities don't appear instantly. Success doesn't arrive with a knock on the door. I've had to wait. I've had to grind. I've had to push, pull, sweat, and bleed for every inch I've earned. And in that waiting, in that grinding, in that constant effort, I've learned that the struggle itself is the journey. The destination is secondary. The real reward is the strength I gain along the way. I embrace the struggle because I know that it shapes my faith, my discipline, and my identity. Every obstacle tests me. Am I going to stay true to my principles, my values, and my purpose when the road gets rough? Or am I going to cave? I've faced betrayal, loss, disappointment, and rejection. And each time the struggle forced me to dig deeper, to find a level of commitment I didn't know I had. It forced me to ask myself, who am I? What am I willing to endure? How badly do I want this? And through that, I've grown stronger than I ever thought possible. I embrace the struggle because I understand its inevitability. Struggle is not a sign that I'm failing. Struggle is proof that I'm alive, that I'm moving forward, that I'm challenging myself. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. If there's no pain, there's no growth. If there's no challenge, there's no story worth telling. I don't run from it. I don't complain about it. I don't resent it. I embrace it as an essential part of my journey toward victory. And here's the secret I've learned: the struggle, when embraced, loses its power over me. It stops being an obstacle and starts being a tool. A hammer that strengthens my resolve. A chisel that shapes my character. A fire that tempers my will. I take every difficulty, every disappointment, every setback, and I turn it into fuel for the next battle. I don't ask why me. I ask, what will I do with this? How will I rise from this? How will I win despite it all? Embracing the struggle has made me fearless. Not because I'm never afraid, but because I've walked through the fear before. Not because life is easy, Because I've faced the hard parts head on. I've fought through the pain, the doubt, the loss, the ridicule. And I've come out stronger, sharper, and more determined each time. I don't pray for an easy life, I pray for strength to face the struggles that come my way. I embrace them, and in that embrace, I find my power. So I stand here knowing that struggle is my companion, my teacher, my forge. I don't wish it away, I don't ignore it, I meet it with open arms. Because I understand that every great person, every victory, every story worth telling has been forged in the fire of struggle, and I am no exception. I embrace it. I lean into it. I allow it to shape me, strengthen me, and propel me forward. I embrace the struggle, and in doing so, I embrace my destiny. I embrace my journey. I embrace the life I am determined to build, no matter how hard the road, no matter how steep the climb, no matter how long the fight, I embrace it. And in that embrace, I win. I prepare relentlessly. That's how I've learned to win every battle. Nobody just walks into victory without work, without sacrifice, without effort. I've seen it over and over. People want the glory, they want the applause, they want the reward, but they're not willing to put in the grind. I refuse to be that person. I refuse to leave anything to chance. I prepare every day, every hour, every moment that I can control. Preparation is my weapon. It's not just practice. It's intention, discipline, and repetition. I don't wait for opportunities to appear. I create them. I sharpen my skills. I strengthen my body. I train my mind. I study my craft. I anticipate the challenges. I map out the obstacles. I don't step into the battlefield hoping I'm ready. I step in knowing I am. And that confidence, that readiness, comes only from relentless preparation. I've had moments in life where preparation was the difference between success and failure. I've been tested in situations that seemed impossible. And the only reason I didn't fall apart is because I had already done the work. I had already trained. I had already anticipated the unexpected. When the storm came, I didn't panic. I didn't stumble. I executed. I relied on the hours, the sweat, the sacrifice I had poured into preparing for that very moment. That's the power of relentless preparation. It turns chaos into clarity, pressure into performance. I prepare relentlessly because I understand the stakes. Life doesn't forgive ignorance. It doesn't reward half effort. If I want to win, if I want to achieve, if I want to rise above mediocrity, I must be ready when the moment arrives. And the moment always arrives. The question is, will I be ready to meet it? I refuse to gamble with my future. I refuse to hope that talent or luck alone will carry me. I rely on preparation. I rely on discipline. I rely on relentless effort. Preparation is not glamorous. There are no spotlights, no applause, no instant gratification. There are long hours when no one sees me grinding, studying, running, lifting, strategizing. There are days when I feel tired, when my body aches, when my mind screams for rest. But I keep going because I know that every drop of sweat, every extra mile, every hour spent mastering my craft is an investment in my victory. I don't chase comfort. I chase excellence. I don't settle. I prepare relentlessly. I prepare relentlessly because I understand that life is unpredictable. Battles rarely happen under perfect conditions. The unexpected will come. The opponent will be stronger than I imagined. The terrain will be rougher than I anticipated. And when that happens, the only thing that saves me is the work I've already done. The only thing that gives me the edge is the preparation I put in when no one was watching. That's how I turn uncertainty into opportunity, challenge into triumph. Preparation is more than physical, it's mental. I prepare my mind for battle the same way I prepare my body. I visualize success. I rehearse difficult conversations. I plan my moves. I anticipate setbacks and failures. I train myself to respond with calm clarity and focus. I prepare not just to react, but to act decisively. Because when the heat is on, there's no time to think. You must have already thought. You must have already prepared. And that is why preparation is everything. I've learned that preparation is also about discipline. It's showing up every day, even when I don't feel like it. It's doing the work, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one notices. Because excellence is built in the small moments. The early mornings, the late nights, the extra reps, the extra practice, the hours of study. It all adds up. And when the decisive moment comes, I can rely on that preparation. I can trust it. I can execute flawlessly because I've prepared relentlessly. I prepare relentlessly because I respect the opponent, the challenge, and myself. I know that arrogance and complacency are the enemies of victory. I refuse to enter any battle thinking it will be easy. I refuse to rely on luck. I refuse to underestimate what lies ahead. I prepare, I study, I anticipate, I train. I do everything I can to ensure that when the moment comes, I am ready. And that readiness brings confidence, a quiet, unshakable confidence that no one can take away. I've also realized that preparation is a mindset. It's a habit. It's a commitment to excellence, a refusal to accept mediocrity, a dedication to being better today than I was yesterday. Preparation is a way of life, not just a one-time effort. It's consistency, persistence, and discipline woven into every action, every decision, every thought. I prepare relentlessly because I've made winning a non-negotiable part of who I am. And here's the truth: preparation doesn't guarantee victory, but it guarantees that I will never be caught off guard. It guarantees that I can face any situation with confidence. It guarantees that when life throws the unexpected at me, I will rise. I will respond. I will prevail. Because preparation is not just about learning what to do. It's about developing the resilience, the strength, and the mindset to do it under pressure. I prepare relentlessly because I owe it to myself. I owe it to my dreams, my goals, my family, my purpose. I refuse to step into a battle half ready. I refuse to look back and regret the hours I didn't invest, the effort I didn't give, the discipline I didn't follow. I prepare relentlessly because my life, my success, my future demands nothing less. Preparation is my promise to myself. It's the silent work that builds the foundation for every victory. It's the fire that tempers my will. It's the edge that separates me from the rest. And I will continue to prepare every day, every hour, every moment, until preparation becomes second nature, until excellence becomes inevitable, until winning is no longer a question. It's a fact. I prepare relentlessly because the moment comes for all of us. The moment where all the training, all the sacrifice, all the discipline pays off. And when that moment arrives, I am ready, I am strong, I am confident, I am unstoppable. I prepare relentlessly because I know that victory is not given. It is earned, and I will earn it every single time. I never quit. I've made that decision, and it is non-negotiable. Life will test me in ways I never imagined. People will doubt me, opportunities will vanish, doors will slam in my face, but I will never quit, because quitting is not an option for me. Quitting is surrender. Quitting is letting fear, doubt, or disappointment define my story, and I refuse to let that happen. Every battle I face with my whole heart, my whole mind, my whole being, and I finish what I start. I've been knocked down more times than I can count. I've been told I'm not enough. I've been betrayed, overlooked, rejected. I've had dreams deferred, promises broken, and moments where giving up felt like the only sane choice. But in those moments, I discovered something important. Quitting is easy. Winning is hard. And if I wanted greatness, if I wanted to leave a mark, if I wanted to truly live, quitting could never be part of my vocabulary. So I rise, I get back up. I push forward. I never quit. I never quit because I know what's at stake. My dreams, my purpose, my family, my future, they all demand persistence. They demand that I stay in the fight when everyone else has walked away. They demand that I dig deeper, push harder, and refuse to give in. Every time I choose to keep going, even when the odds are stacked against me, I prove to myself that I am stronger than the challenge. I prove that my spirit is unbreakable. I prove that quitting will never define me. I've learned that quitting often disguises itself as logic. It whispers, "It's too hard. You're tired. Try something easier." And I have to fight that voice every single time. I tell myself, no, not today, not ever. This is my life. These are my dreams. I refuse to let fear dictate my story. I understand that the moment I quit, I allow regret to take root. I allow doubt to grow. I allow what-ifs to haunt me. But if I persist, if I push through the pain, the frustration, the exhaustion, I create something powerful, momentum. Momentum that carries me past obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Momentum that builds confidence, skill, and resilience. I never quit because I know that failure is not the end. It's feedback. Every time I fall, I learn. Every time I stumble, I grow. Every time I face a setback, I gain experience that no success could teach me. Quitting is permanent, but failure is temporary. And when I refuse to quit, I turn every failure into a stepping stone, every loss into a lesson, every obstacle into an opportunity. That is the power of persistence. That is the reason I never quit. I never quit because I honor the journey. The battles I face are not just about reaching the finish line. They are about who I become along the way. Every challenge I endure, every struggle I embrace, every moment I refuse to give up shapes me. It teaches me discipline, courage, and resilience. It molds my character and builds my integrity. Quitting robs me of that growth. Persisting allows me to evolve into the person I am destined to be, and I will not trade that for temporary comfort or avoidance. I never quit because I understand the value of commitment. I've seen people with talent walk away too soon. I've seen potential wasted because someone gave up when things got hard. And I've made a promise to myself that my commitment will be stronger than my doubt, my discipline stronger than my distraction, and my will stronger than my fear. Commitment is not easy. Commitment is not convenient. But it is the difference between a life half lived and a life fully claimed. I choose to claim mine. I never quit because I believe in the power of resilience. Life will break me down, but it cannot destroy me unless I allow it to. Every time I stand back up after being knocked down, I become stronger, tougher, and more capable. Every time I face rejection and keep moving, I prove that my spirit is unshakable. Resilience is born from persistence, and persistence is born from refusing to quit. That's how I turn adversity into advantage. That's how I turn pain into progress. That's how I win every battle. I never quit because I owe it to myself. My life is mine to live, and I refuse to let anyone else decide how far I can go. I refuse to let fear, doubt, or failure define my limits. I refuse to hand my dreams over to chance or convenience. I owe it to myself to fight for my future, to honor my potential, and to stay the course no matter what comes. Every step I take, every choice I make, Every breath I draw is a declaration that I will never quit. I never quit because I understand the ripple effect of persistence. My actions, my persistence, my refusal to give up inspire others. My children, my community, my peers, they watch. And when they see me rise after falling, when they see me fight when the odds are against me, they learn something powerful. That giving up is never the answer. That strength is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, and spiritual. That battles are not always fair, but victories are always earned. I never quit because I've tasted the bitterness of giving up. I felt regret creeping when I left things unfinished, when I let fear take the wheel. And I've made a decision that I will never feel that way again. I will finish what I start. I will fight when it's hard. I will push when it's uncomfortable. I will endure when it's exhausting. Quitting will never define me, and victory will always be my goal. I never quit because I understand that every battle is temporary, but the lessons last forever. Pain passes. Struggle fades. Failure teaches. But quitting leaves a scar on the soul. It leaves a void where courage, resilience, and accomplishment could have grown. And I will not allow that void in my life. I choose to face every challenge, endure every hardship, and persist through every difficulty. That is my path. That is my promise. That is who I am. I never quit. And I will never quit. Because life is not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain. It's not about waiting for the easy road. It's about paving the hard one. It's not about surrendering. It's about standing tall, standing firm, and standing strong. Quitting is easy. Winning is hard, and I choose hard. I choose victory. I choose to never, ever quit. I learn from every loss. I've had my share of defeats, my fair share of moments when the world seemed to say, not this time. I've fallen on my face. I've been humiliated, disappointed, rejected. And for a long time I hated it. I wanted to blame others. I wanted to curse my luck. I wanted to turn away, pretend it didn't happen, and move on. But life has a way of teaching you lessons you can't ignore. And the lesson I learned is this: every loss carries wisdom. Every loss carries opportunity. Every loss carries the blueprint for my next victory. I've learned that losing is not failure, it's feedback. It's life telling me, you're not there yet. You're growing. You're learning. Pay attention. The moment I started to see loss as a teacher instead of a punishment, everything changed. I began to listen. I began to analyze. I began to strip away my ego and see the truth. If I lose, it's not the end of my story. It's a chapter. And the next chapter can be better than the last, but only if I pay attention to what the loss is teaching me. I learn from every loss because I refuse to waste it. Pain, disappointment, regret, they are useless if I let them sit inside me like poison. I take that pain, I examine it, I pull it apart, and I ask, what can you teach me? I look at every detail, what I did wrong, what I could have done differently, what I missed, where I got lazy, where I got scared. I turn every loss into a lesson plan for myself. I turn every setback into strategy. I turn every defeat into preparation for the next fight. I've learned that loss is not always visible. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's quiet. You don't always know you're losing until you look back and see what could have been. And I've learned to pay attention to those quiet losses because they teach me the most. They teach me patience. They teach me humility. They teach me resilience. They teach me that life is a long game, and the wins that matter are often built on the lessons of the losses that came before. I learn from every loss because I know that pride and ego can blind you. When I lose, my first instinct is sometimes to protect my ego, to make excuses, to justify why it wasn't my fault. But I've learned that taking responsibility is where growth begins. The moment I own my mistakes, the moment I say, I could have done better, is the moment I gain power. Loss stops being a threat and becomes an opportunity to improve, to sharpen, to refine my skills, my character, my mindset. I've also learned that learning from loss requires courage. It's not easy to face yourself after a defeat. It's uncomfortable to look in the mirror and admit, I failed. It's humbling to recognize that I fell short. But I've learned that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of fear. And facing my losses head on, analyzing them, learning from them, requires more courage than any battle I've fought outside. It is the quiet battle that shapes everything else. I learn from every loss because I understand that victory without failure is hollow. If I never fail, if I never lose, I would never grow. I would never be tested. I would never be forced to stretch beyond my comfort zone. I would never discover the depths of my resilience, the strength of my will, or the determination of my heart. Loss forces me to examine myself, to face reality, and to rise stronger than before. And that's why I embrace it instead of fearing it. I've learned that every loss has a lesson, and every lesson has timing. Sometimes I don't see it immediately. Sometimes it takes months, even years, before I understand what that loss was really teaching me. But I stay vigilant. I stay reflective. I stay open. I never dismiss defeat as meaningless because I know that somewhere inside it is the key to my next success. I've come to see that life's most powerful lessons are wrapped in moments I never wanted to experience. I learn from every loss because I refuse to repeat it. Every time I stumble, I make a promise to myself I will not make the same mistake twice. I will study it. I will train. I will grow. I will prepare. I will ensure that the next time I face a similar challenge, I am ready. I turn loss into a teacher, into a guide, into a map that leads me closer to the life I want, the victories I seek, and the man I am meant to become. I've also learned that learning from loss requires patience. Progress is not instant. Success is not immediate. Some lessons take time to sink in. Some victories take years to manifest. And that's okay. I've learned to trust the process, to trust the timing of life, and to keep learning, improving, and evolving, no matter how long it takes. Every loss is a step forward if I'm willing to let it teach me. I learn from every loss because I refuse to be bitter. I refuse to carry resentment or regret. I refuse to let disappointment dictate my future. I take the lesson, I internalize it, and I move forward with clarity and purpose. Bitterness is wasted energy. Growth is power. I choose power. I choose progress. I choose to learn. I've learned that the greatest victories are born from repeated losses. Every champion I admire has a history of defeat. Every success story is built on a foundation of mistakes, failures, and setbacks. And I am no different. Every loss I endure is building me, shaping me, preparing me for the next fight, the next opportunity, the next breakthrough. I never fear loss because I know it is temporary, but the lessons it provides are permanent. I learn from every loss because I know that life is a teacher, not a punishment. Every defeat is not a reflection of my worth, but a reflection of my growth opportunities. Every lost battle is a message saying you're not done yet. Try again, improve, rise. And I have learned to listen. I have learned to absorb. I have learned to apply. I have learned to transform every loss into a stepping stone. I've learned that learning from loss is a mindset. It is a choice. I can cry about it. I can complain about it. I can blame someone else, or I can choose to learn. I choose to learn. I choose to grow. I choose to transform every painful experience into wisdom, strength, and preparation for the battles ahead. I learn from every loss because I know that what doesn't kill me will teach me. Every setback is an opportunity. Every failure is a lesson. Every defeat is a chance to rise stronger. And when I approach life with this mindset, no loss is wasted. No challenge is meaningless. No failure is final. I turn every defeat into fuel, every obstacle into opportunity, and every loss into a lesson that propels me closer to my purpose. I learn from every loss. And because I do, I am unstoppable. I am resilient. I am prepared. I am wiser. I am stronger. And every battle I face from this point forward, every challenge, every fight I face with confidence, because I know that even if I stumble, I will rise. I will learn. I will grow. I will win next time. I will win.